Good morning. Today, for a multimedia assignment, we chose to do Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson was a man of not only spirituality but also romanticism and equality. Out of all of the works in his career, the one that we chose to do was The Poet. The Poet focuses on Emerson's appeal to nonconformity. Nonconformity has changed a lot since his time, but we'll explain that in the video. So first, we decided to actually explain the poet. We're going to explain what the poet is and really who the poet is. And we'll do this through different segments of videos and then explaining what we're analyzing, what we're doing. Next, we will talk about the historical influence that Emerson's works had on other writers specifically and how his talk of nonconformity helped them to become nonconformists while also helping their writing. Finally, we will discuss how nonconformity plays a role in today's society and how it's actually changed a lot. It's not quite what Emerson had in mind, but it still happens a lot. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy.
The signs and credentials of the poet are that he announces that which no man foretold. He is the true and only doctor. He knows and tells. He is the only teller of news, for he was present and privy to the appearance which he describes. He is a beholder of ideas and an utterer of the necessary and causal. For we do not speak now of men of poetical talents, or of industry and skill in meter, but of the true poet.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dr. Santiago.
All right, can we turn to page 295, please? Sean, you want to lead us off?
Yes, I will. A moody child and wildly wise pursued the game with joyful eyes, which chose like meteors their way, and rived the dark with private ray. They overleapt the horizon's edge, searched with Apollo's privilege. Through man and woman and sea and star, saw the dance of nature forward far. Through the worlds and races and terms and times, saw musical order and pairing rhymes.
Thank you, Sean. Now, can we turn attention to the PowerPoint here and take out our notes, please?
Okay, from our assessment today, I concluded that you have a high blood pressure and a high heart rate, so I'm going to prescribe you these two medications here to treat that and hopefully prevent any other cardiac diseases in the future.
Thank you.
His worship is sympathetic. He has no definitions, but he is commanded in nature by the living power which he feels to be there present. It is nature the symbol, nature certifying the supernatural, body overflowed by life, which he worships with coarse but sincere rites.
Oh my god, I love fall. I know, nature just connects you to your spirit. The leaves are dying, but they're gonna be used to regrow the ground and the earth and the grass and stuff. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
For it is not meters, but a meter-making argument that makes a poem, a thought so passionate and alive that like the spirit of a plant or an animal, it has an architecture of its own and adorns nature with a new thing. The thought and the form are equal in the order of time, but in the order of Genesis, the thought is prior to the form. Our guest today is Emily Dickinson, and we're going to talk to her about how Emerson influenced her life. So first off, Emily, how would you say that Emerson affected your writing?
Emerson just allowed me to really open up as a person because he inspired me with the poet and other writings to not conform to other people's ideas and just speak my mind and be myself.
And how would you say that what he wrote about affected your writing form?
Oh, actually, in the poet, also again, he talks about using free verse and using your own creative spirit. So that's what I did. I used a lot of fragments and dashes to indirectly emphasize specific things in my poems.
And then lastly, you mentioned how Emerson emphasizes being yourself. So since you used your own form and like techniques, do you feel that you represent the poet?
I think I do. I think because of the form, and I also think because of the way I write. I relate to nature a lot, and I'm also religious, so I relate that in. And nature connects us to our spirit, and so I think I relate to Emerson in that way. And as the poet, I think I am that poet.
Okay, thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Emerson influenced many future writers of his time. The quote at the very beginning of this section is a textual quote used to show literary evidence of Emerson's ideals that he passed down to future writers. The interview with Emily Dickinson was then used to illustrate Emerson's influence on other writers. It is a simpler, comical way of expressing how he showed future writers such as Whitman and Dickinson that they should write from their own views and not give in to the social conformity of the time. He explains how they can do this through creating their own structural form and writing down their own ideas before others approve of them. The poet is a nonconformist. Emerson's idea of the poet helped Dickinson and others to gain that independence and self-confidence they needed to not conform and to become their own type of writer.
It is a secret which every intellectual man quickly learns, that beyond the energy of his possessed and conscious intellect, he is capable of a new energy. Besides his privacy of power as an individual man, there is a great public power on which he can draw by unlocking his human doors. His speech is thunder, his thought is law, and his words are universally intelligible as the plants and animals.
Oh my gosh, are you getting this camera? Need to take a video of it?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Are you getting it?
It looks great.
Oh, you okay?
Oh yeah.
I'll help you with that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just so clumsy.
Oh no, it's okay. You know, a lot of people fall over that little
Yeah.
thing there.
Thanks. Look at all those clothes you just did.
Oh my god, did you see that?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Like, see my picture right now?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Wait, bend down.
Oh,
Closer.
okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Okay, we're gonna caption it like hashtag clothing drive, and then we'll put like, look at all the clothes I donated.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we did this. It's
Sweet.
great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay. Sweet. Okay. Good. That looks good.
A common theme in the poet is nonconformity. This theme is still relevant in today's society. However, some people do not understand what it means. As you saw in the examples, there are some people who try to create an image that they are a nonconformist, but for the wrong reasons. This is not what Emerson meant. Being a nonconformist is not doing something outgoing or praiseworthy for attention, but rather for the good of the action. Through the poet, Emerson was encouraging people to be a nonconformist because that is how their personality is, not how they want others to perceive their personality.
To conclude, the poet is a man or woman who speaks their mind and pushes social boundaries. The poet may be a prophet or a healer or a teacher, as Emerson puts it, but overall, they all have this connection to the spirit and this need to be individualized and speak their mind and show their true colors. Especially in today's society, we see that nonconformity is actually a type of conforming. The hipsters of today may not actually be pushing the social boundaries that we perceive. Overall, we thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Feel free to ask us any questions that you may have. Thank you.